Creation starts from vision. It starts way before the thing actually exists. And if we're not visualizing, we're stunting our creativity and our growth, right? So we have to position ourselves to be able to think.
Joy, welcome back to KEAL, part 2 of our excellent conversation with you. I'm excited to have this again. You're always one of the favorites, so welcome back. How are you?
I am always excited to be with you.
Joy, it's such an honor. And a lot of people were so interested in what you were talking about in our first episode. And if you didn't see the first episode, everyone, click here above, somewhere in the corner, go check it out. It's over there. And watch that amazing episode that we had for part 1 with Joy. And Joy, in part 2, people are really interested to know, especially the people who want to go into kind of ideas, especially with an online presence of their business, your insight, because you have such an engaging way to present yourself online on different platforms and connect with your audience. So from that aspect of things, especially for entrepreneurs, business-minded people, what are some, insights that you have and platforms actually that you recommend that people really engage with in growing an audience, and why?
Before you can create, or before you journey into the online space of creating, I think it's so important to get comfortable with self. Like, when you become who you are and you're comfortable in that, then your presence of being available online, it's consistent across the board because you don't have to change. Now, I do want to say, for me, this was an altering space for me. And I come from corporate America in the 90s and the early 2000s, where things were different. You had to be a certain way. You had to operate a certain way. Who you are as a person didn't really have a space. And it's like, but that's not natural to who I am, right? Who I am as a person involves all of these different dynamics of me. And I went through my own process of therapy, of coaching, of personal development, of really getting clear on self-mastery and what that means and what that looks like for me, not based on any judgment or anything from anybody else, but what I felt comfortable with myself. And then in that space, the online presence became, I didn't have to do anything but show up as myself, right? And I think that when we can get comfortable with whoever that we are, instead of trying to be like, oh, this influencer or this person or that person, I got to do it like this because that's how they did it, or I got to do it like that. There are 7.5 billion people in the world. Your people are out there. The people who resonate with you and your energy and who you are is absolutely enough, and it matters and is needed. So I think the first start is really getting clear and getting comfortable with you and self of who you are. Like, that's the first step.
I've never heard that before. Well, and the reason I'm saying that is because immediately when I hear people say, okay, for my business, I want to do this. For my branding, I want to do this. I just got to throw myself on all these platforms, share it everywhere, no matter what. And that's it. So there's no conscious way of knowing why you're doing it and the how of doing it, right? And I've never heard that way of your approach, like understand who you are, what you want to offer, why it is you want to offer, and then get on the platform. I think that's incredible. I think it's great,
because
cool advice.
I think that it opens up more opportunity for you, because I don't believe in us as people being stuck in a box, right? Like so often, and this is kind of approach that I use from a coaching standpoint. When I coach with partners, I don't have like this box that you have to fit into, because I think that that's inauthentic. I think that let's understand who you are and let's understand how you show up, and then let's create the present around that thing versus trying to take you and mold you into something that you're not. And I think it's the same thing when we're thinking about our online presence. Understand more about you, because who you are as a person may align more with one platform than it does another. You may have a different energy with one that attracts the people of who you are versus thinking that you have to do it this and you have to do that. And there's no have to's, right? Everybody in life is figuring it out. Nobody has done the thing that they've done before they've done the thing. There's always a starting point, and people are sharing what they figured out based on their own journey. Nobody knew how to exist online this way before COVID happened in this capacity. We never experienced COVID before. So guess what happened? Everybody who was in a space, some people said, I'm going to figure this out and I'm going to learn it and I'm going to make it work for me. When they figured out what that looked like, they say, this is an opportunity for me to tell all these people how to do a thing that I figured out. That's what life and business is all about. Figuring out how do I navigate and how do I strategize? How do I take these pieces of the puzzle and make it into something that's authentic to who I am and share it? More than anything, show up. And I say that because I had to tell tell myself that, right?
You're talking from lived experience. That's what's so incredibly important about what you're saying. You're not just, picking this wisdom, from some random tree. This is something that you've lived, you've gone through, you experience, and now you teach people. And for all of our listening, viewing audience, Joy's program is going to be here in the description. Check it out. Connect with her if this resonates and if this is right for you, because it's an absolutely amazing thing if you want to get on this journey and do it with Joy. Well, here's her info below. Go check it out. And also comment below. Let us know what you think about what Joy's saying. Is that what a lot of people get stuck with is this idea like, they get way too stuck on analytics, right? Because now with YouTube and Instagram and all these things, it's like, how many people saw my whatever today? How many people engaged with my whatever today? So how do you guide people through that process and letting them know, hey, look, stay to your core message versus worrying about numbers? What's usually your approach to that?
So I think the thing is that, one, data is important because data helps us to navigate and move along the pathways to figure out if we should go this way or we should go that way. But when we pull back, there's data for everything, and anything has data attached to it. But when we pull back and we realize that the data is going to be there regardless, right? The data is going to be there in every way, but let the data be secondary. The thing that we need to really approach is, what's the value add, right? Let's not look at the data. Let's concentrate on the value add. When you add the value, one, when you're showing up as yourself, when you're showing up and you're understanding what your why is, and stop trying to figure out the how so much and be connected to the why and adding value, the data will begin to present to you what it needs to present to you. Like coming into this online space, there's all of these people who tell you, like, know your numbers, increase your following and blah, blah, blah. Numbers matter, right? They do matter. And so my background for over 23, 24 years has been an accountant, right? So numbers are a thing to me. Numbers and business operations and all the things, they matter. But how much do they matter if the value that's attached to them is not something that is adding to someone's journey, that is helping someone evolve, that's helping someone grow, and that's creating more of an impact in the life in which you're doing the business that you're doing? The numbers will tell you, it's a report card. It'll tell you where you are, but it shouldn't be the main focus. The main focus should literally, what's the value add? And what's your purpose? What's your why? Follow that, and all of the stuff will begin to come through. Like it'll begin to follow.
I want to thread exactly on that point you're making, because it's really, really important, because it adds up to everything else to get to a quote unquote successful point in your life with what you're trying to do. What happens many times is that they don't see results quick enough and they get burnt out and they think no one cares at all about their voice and what they're doing, and it's a bunch of whatever. Like, how do you generally approach your partners in that way to be able to let them know, hey, you know what? You are worth listening to and you have something of value to give to people, and especially on a timeline basis.
Why do we want it to happen so fast? What's the actual outcome or result that we're looking for? Typically, people are working to move fast or get the followers, or what? Typically, the next thing is, let me get all these followers so I can make money. And then when you make money, you're making money for what? So you can get a thing. And then when you get that thing, what does that thing bring you? If it's happiness or belonging or being seen or heard or valued or loved or all those things, if that's what the end result of moving so fast to get all the matrix, all the following, all the money, how can you create that without the process, right?
It's interesting you frame it that way, especially to try to keep the end in mind, because it's like, why are you doing the thing that you're doing? Because if you're doing it almost solely for money, which is not really that bad of a thing, because people want, money for freedom, for leverage, for whatever it is, in their life, for, getting out of debt. I mean, there's good reasons to want to do it for money, but
it's still a reason behind the money, right? Exactly. Because money doesn't even exist, right?
True.
It's a made up thing So if you're doing it for the sole point of the money, you want the money for something. Maybe that's security, maybe that's safety, maybe that's comfort, maybe that's love, maybe that it's still, if it's for the money, it deduces down to the same things.
So Joy, I would just love to go into your own personal insights and experiences just about life in general, and some insights that you've had along your journey that would just be fun and interesting to share with our viewing and listening audience. So let's go into that.
I'm all up for this thing called life. I'm all up. I'm a people advocate. I love people, even though people come with this myriad of different variances that come into the ball, but you take the good and you take the not so good and the indifferent. But overall, at the core of who we are as people, no matter what color you are, no matter where you were born, no matter what your circumstances, no matter your haves and your have-not, at the core, we are humans that are made up of heart, emotion, love, kindness. We want to be cared for. We want to be seen. We want to be valued. We want to belong. And we're all made up. When you take off all the skin, it's all vein, it's all blood, it's all heartbeat and lungs and kidneys and bones that make us up. And we're all generally the same. We have more commonality, no matter who we are, where we are, that's similar than we do those that make us different. And we have to stop and we have to pull down those barriers that try to impede and intrude on the humanistic way of us being, which is really about being loved, right?
I agree with that in the entirety of what you said. And, the thing is, obviously in the course of history, there's been some horrible things that have happened, and just stupid people doing stupid things, and just really, really sad and tragic. And the thing, and it's exactly what we said. If you were, with a less sort of grotesque way of explaining it, if we were all cremated, we would all be ash. None of us are going to be like glowing, butterflies somewhere. We're all going to be we're all, dust in the wind. So it's just like, I think it's kind of shifting too, in a way. You can kind of feel it.
I think so. I think we're living more in a world where though there is bad things and people who have some struggles and challenges, I think that's always going to be the case.
Yeah.
But I think we are living more in a world where we're embracing more kindness.
Oh, for sure.
Where we're operating from a place of understanding that we all are human and we all have a commonality. I don't think anybody wakes up and like, oh my goodness, I want to have the worst day ever. Like,
I wonder if my colleagues are like that. I won't ever ask them. I promise.
Now, people may operate that way because they're choosing. There's always, I think we talked about this before, there's always choice. We always are choosing this or we're choosing that. When we say yes to one thing, we're saying no to another thing. So when we wake up and people find themselves in that state, they're just choosing what they've been feeding all along. However, at any moment, if they choose to feed the more optimistic, positive side of things, and being optimistic and positive doesn't mean that the bullshit still doesn't exist, right? It just means I'm choosing, no matter what the circumstance is, that I'm going to show up with intention. I'm going to show up for what I want, and I'm going to show up for what I'm trying to create for myself and in the world that I'm creating and I'm living in.
What you're saying is so important, because if you grew up in a situation maybe traumatic or just really haunts you, some memory of some whatever it is, like PTSD and all that, like unfortunately that energy, if you don't the issue is like what you just said, if you don't resolve it, then it lingers forever. So it grows. And like you said, you can shift it to something else, but you got to go through it first, right? And it might be an ugly process, but if you come out the other side, right?
Not might be an ugly process.
It is.
It's an absolute extreme ugly process. So I often share with people, I didn't get to this place of life with everything being flower and sunshine and birds singing little lullaby songs. I went through hard moments that broke me in different places. I experienced moments of depression. I experienced moments of isolation and disappointment and hurt and anything you can imagine, which I believe is a story that we all have, right? We've all experienced moments that weren't always the best. The thing is, what do you do in those moments? How do you handle those moments? And how do you make a decision to say, all right, this moment happened. It's not the best moment and I don't like it and I would rather not have it. However, what I'm not going to do is allow this moment and this circumstance to begin to shape my whole future, right? It happened at this particular junction of life. We still have this life to go. Why let this one thing interfere with all the things and all the possibilities and all the greatness and awesome that can happen? I'm not going to let it happen.
That's why your energy is contagious, because you can help, and especially I imagine when you work with people, you can help them, push them in that direction, or not push them, but you lead them in that direction so that they can get on their own journey.
Kevin, I tell you all the time, I love people. I'm a people advocate. And then when I work with, I don't really like to call them clients. I like to call them partners, right? Because we're on this journey and it's a partnership that we have together. It's not me as a coach. I don't tell you what to do. I don't tell you how to do it. I basically partner with you to open up the opportunities and to explore all that's available, to have you think a little bit further than what you're thinking, to open up different windows and avenues to see that there are possibilities and opportunities out here. We're never stuck in one position. As long as we blink and we're breathing, we have the opportunity to create. We're made, and no matter what your religion is, I don't even care what it is, but I believe that we're all made in the image of God, whoever God is for you and to you. The world was created in some kind of way. And if the world was created in some kind of way, and let's use God as this terminology, right? Let's say God created the world. And in the Bible, it says that God created the heavens and the earth, and we're made in his image. And if he made the world and he's a creator and we're made in his image, that means that we're creators and we create our world, and we have the ability to begin to create different things in our life and our world, just like God did, because we're creators. That's what we do as humans. We create, right? When you think about the timeline of life, way back when there was no electricity. Guess what somebody did? Somebody created it. Somebody created electricity.
Exactly.
When there were no cars, guess what somebody did? Created it. When there were no telephones, guess what somebody did? Created it. When there were no airplanes, somebody created it. When there was no Amazon, somebody created it. When there was no Google, somebody created it. You know, everything that we have, somebody created it. But creation doesn't start from a place of tangible substance. Creation starts from vision. It starts way before the thing actually exists. So we as people have to learn how to tap into what vision is and being able to have that childlike imagination to say, I wonder what it would be like to create X, Y, and Z. As we become adults and start adulting, we begin to lose our connection and we begin to lose our creativity from an imagination standpoint. And then these shackles begin to hold us down. And it begins, the biggest shackle is the shackle that comes on our head, where we stop thinking, we stop dreaming, we stop imagining, and we stop doing these things that put us in position in order to visualize, because it happens from a visual standpoint. You have to visualize it before it can actually be a thing. And if we're not visualizing, we're stunting our creativity and our growth, right? So we have to position ourselves to be able to think and be able to vision and be able to create and imagine. Like, that's where things are created.
That's so beautiful. And Joy, you know what? Like, just thinking about what you said with that, which was so incredible, the inspiration comes from somewhere, right? We don't know where, but it does come. And the thing is, you know, I love, you know, watching these science shows, and, you know, I really like Carl Sagan before, and you know, he was so inspirational about talking about the universe, etc., and even what Da Vinci talked about a long time ago, etc. But, you know, the universe itself is made up of things we can't see. Like, I can't remember the actual percentage, but I think it's more than 95% of the universe is like dark matter or dark energy, that not dark like in a mystical way, but just dark. We can't scientifically put, we can't, it's not visible naked eye, and we can't like we can't put a certain metric behind it, supposedly. I don't know all the minutia behind the science. I'm sorry, I'm butchered. But the main point I'm trying to make is that everything's about perspective, right? There's the majority of what exists, we have no idea what it is. That's the point, is what I'm trying to get at. So for us to become these people, you know, and we got to rein it in sometimes, like with these tremendous egos, if, you know, they stop us from living a fulfilling life, we have to realize that there's so much more out there that is not even known to us, and we're worried about the burnt toast, you know?
Yeah,
exactly. Right? Exactly. That's why I love your energy and your personalities, because it just is contagious to people who want to be able to better their lives, or at least have a different perspective on where they're at, where they want to go, how they want to get there, and they connect with you. And that's a beautiful thing. You know?
Do you know something that I often do, and I do this in groups, I do this when I'm with friends and family, is to tap into the imagination, right? To have us think. So I'll come up, let's say there are 4 of us at the table, and I'll come up with some words, and the words can be elephant, candle, butterfly, and bottle, right? And through those words, we have these words, and we have to create a story, right? So each person starts with, all right, you start a story and this is your word. So you have to create a story, and you have to use this word or this character that's in it. And then when you start the story, the next person takes the story and like creates the story in it. And then it goes to the next person. So it's like this big old story that's been created, that's full of fun and full of imagination and full of all these things, that turns into so much fun. But it allows us to tap into the creativity that we have by creating this story based on these these indicators that we inject into the story, and it comes into the, it's so much fun. I love doing it because it gets people into a great creative imagination space, and it's collective.
What is the name of that exercise?
I don't even know. It's just something that I do to create more. I don't know. I have to come up with a name for it. I don't have
come
it.
with a name so I can suggest that, to my wife and some people and do that, because I think that's a great idea.
I'm telling you, it'll be so much fun if you had like a group of friends over and you guys are just having a group of friends, and maybe, so here's my creative brain, right? Get like a box of some sheets of paper and write one word. Everybody write all types of different words on it and put it in. And then as each person go around, pick a word from the bucket, from the box, and then that's the part of your story. You have to use that word in your story, but you have to add to the other story, and it'll become so much fun and funny and things. Wow. It'll be so great. That.
Well, next time we speak, put a name on that, and then and then we can promote that particular thing. That would be pretty cool.
I'm gonna figure out what that name is.
That's awesome. And patent it at the same time.
Yeah. Right.
That'd be good. Get some money.
Somebody be like, "Oh, that's a great idea. I heard of it."
Get some money on that.
I'm gonna make this into a thing. I'm gonna name it.
Yeah, the joy, the box of joy, or something like that.
Something. I gotta figure it out.
Get a clever name. Joy, as always, this has just been an amazing conversation with you. It's always a pleasure to speak with you, have you on. People really, really get inspired when they hear your incredible wisdom. It's always of such value. And I really want people, especially if they're on this journey, as we've been talking about, like of self-discovery, really want to put themselves out there to really offer something unique value and just of positivity in their own unique way. It could be in a business way, it could be in another way, whatever it may be. You could really be a great facilitator and a coach to them in that way, and you offer a great part of your business in that way to your partners. So where can people connect with you, find you, follow you, and just be in touch with you in general?
So I am accessible on all platforms at Inspiring Joy Inc. That's INC. And I am an advocate for people and joining the journey to activate more in life, business, and money for us to grow and thrive. So if anything kind of resonates in that area of life, business, or money, and you're ready for more and you're ready to avail yourself and open up yourself to get more, connect. Like, I love to see people. I love people being heard and valued, and really creating that space of all the things that's within and how we can really push beyond the things that's holding us back from our full potential. So Inspiring Joy Inc. On all platforms, as well as my website, which is inspiringjoyinc.com.
Excellent, Joy. And for all of our viewing, listening to us, we're going to include all of Joy's info, as always, in the description, pin comments, show notes, everywhere, so you can be very accessible and click on it and connect with Joy ASAP. Joy, thank you so much again. It was an honor.
Thank you.
And a privilege. Thank you so much. And we'll see you all in the next episode. Take care, everyone, and we wish you all well.